Obviously, we love watching the television shows like Lie to Me,
Yeah.
where they specifically study body languages. And we all see facial expressions when people do self and object adapters, scratching, tappings. And what happens if you don't have the luxury of sight? I always believe that sound is the purest form. Phonetics is broken down into 4 sections. You have tone, rate, pitch, and duration. I also believe that when you're studying things, you need a consistent variable for inconsistencies. Let's just use, for argument's sake, a 30-second attention span and conversation segment, so at least we can judge spikes and dips in communication and any sort of adjustments. The tone should always be consistent. I understand people talk about mirror imaging techniques, but we'll get to that in rate and pitch. Your tone, in my opinion, should always be confident and empathetic. If the client is doing it, match it. If not, you stay consistent. But the tone, we're not even paying attention to. I'm still going for the sound. And so I really focus on the speed and the speaking level. And this can be done in any languages. And what you do is you break it down into a simple XY chart, kind of like what you had in high school in pre-algebra. Can you gentlemen see this?
We can, yeah.
Excellent. And so if you just pay attention to the 4 quadrants, I'm pretty much in a quadrant 1. I'm probably about an 8 in regards to speed and an 8 in regards to sound.
Right.
And if I'm consistent like that every 30 seconds, fine. And subconsciously, if you see any sort of spike or a dip, that's usually when I recommend to my agents to interject and ask a clarification question, or we call those tie down or pin down questions. It's really not more for pushing a sale. It's really a checkpoint or putting in a flag, just like the old show, Get Smart. You got to shut the doors behind you. If you leave one open, then all of a sudden you don't understand why you didn't get the appointment or the conversion. Yeah. So I'd rather go low and slow, thumbs up and checkpoints. And even if it's not obvious where they're waving a red flag and asking me a question, I'm reading somebody. And even if through an insurance policy, gentlemen, if I ask a clarification question, I was way off, I'm still at least learning somebody's read. Now, this is a first time read for people. And I always believe that in the first 30 seconds, I have no idea where you're going. But at least if you're judging them, and by your 5th 32nd, which is an odd man out, you can almost gauge a sort of pattern that these people have. Now, gentlemen, tones, rates, and pitches can be manipulated. You see it in the movies all the time when people are reluctant to give information to an investigator. So in my opinion, and I think you're going to find this funny, that the duration, which is the actual silence in between the speech, to me is the greatest tell sign, because I can manipulate the other 3, but subconsciously, it's impossible for you to match your answering speed. And that's why the real clever police officers and those that are asking inquisitive questions will usually plant it 3rd, 4th, or 5th in to see if there's a consistency or a break there. And that's what I've seen. And when you're on the phone for 160 hours a month, year after year, it gets monotonous. So I wanted to see if I could bite an apple when juggling. Could I do something in addition to what I was doing in this controlled focus group, sight unseen, where I'm taking away 3 of my senses, gentlemen. Taste, touch, and smell do not exist. Hearing should be expanded. And then people say, but what about sight? Well, Kevin and Graham, what about image streaming from the Einstein factor? I think adjectives and your imagination are much better than a photograph. And so if I can really be attentive and really get engaged with active listening, I will catch those tell signs. And is it manipulation? No, it's much more controlled conversation.